If you have an unquenchable thirst to crush your bucket list, relentlessly pursue your dreams, and live life on your own terms, then turn up the volume and tune in. You're now listening to Zeph and Moses Blacksburg on the Year of Purpose podcast.
This episode of the Year of Purpose is brought to you by our brand new book, Life Rescripted. Find your purpose and design your dream life before the curtains close. If you want to be the first in line to receive a free digital copy from me, all you have to do is head on over to www.liferescriptedbook.com to find out more. Hey everyone, this is Zeph and Blacksburg with another episode of the Year of Purpose podcast. And today I'm joined by Chef Allison Stevens, and she is the founder of the gluten-free and paleo meal planning website prepdish.com. Allison thoughtfully crafts each plan using her own well-tested recipes. Each meal plan allows you, the home cook, to spend only 2 or 3 hours preparing a week's worth of crave-worthy healthy meals using seasonal whole foods, nothing processed. Prep Dish aims to save you time while keeping your family's taste buds happy. Sign up for the Prep Dish newsletter and receive a free 1-week gluten-free meal plan. How's it going today, Allison?
I'm doing well. How are you? I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm doing well too. And actually, it's great to talk about the whole gluten-free and paleo movement because this is something that I got into probably about 4 or 5 years ago. Just when I first started with a CrossFit gym. So as you know, paleo is a huge thing with CrossFitters. And it was more for me to kind of clear out my system because I was eating too much junk food, too much fried food. And as you know, paleo really takes it down to the roots of, what do we used to eat? So maybe if you could give us just a little more background for people listening in who haven't really familiarized themselves with paleo, what exactly does that mean? And tell me, or maybe share with me how that can taste amazing and we're not losing out on any flavor with this type of cooking.
Sure. Yeah. And I guess when I explain paleo, I'm going to do it in the way I see paleo and what I like about paleo. The main thing I love about paleo is it's about listening to your body and seeing what works for you. There's a lot of variations of paleo. At the core, it's eat real food, which, anyone can get behind. But I like that once you eat real food, it's, figuring out there's a lot of gray areas with paleo. Do potatoes count? We can't eat beans, but it's more, yes, eat all these real foods, but then also listening into your body and seeing what works for you, which is what I really like about it.
Yeah, and it's like it's just a natural and holistic approach to things. I mean, it kind of makes sense. It's like, why are you going to put ingredients into your body that might not react so well? And so, you kind of pay attention to what works and what doesn't, and you cut out the things that don't work. And
Exactly.
I think they probably provide a pretty solid guideline of what you should or shouldn't eat just in general. They're not going out and saying, go buy some fried up chicken tenders from the restaurant down the street. But they're not saying that you have to eat cardboard, it actually is very tasty stuff.
A lot of times people are afraid. They say there's, well, what can I eat? It's just protein and veggies. And I'm like, just protein and veggies. There's so many options. There's so many vegetables out there. There's so much you can do with it. It's just focusing more on what you can eat. It's funny. So I have 2 other sisters. So there's 3 of us in my family and we're all gluten-free. And we've recently convinced my mom to go gluten-free. And she learned the trick, which is she said, I can't focus on what I can't have, I focus on what I can have. And I think that's what's important is, looking at all these options that you do have versus focusing on that one thing that you can't have.
Right. Absolutely. And that's kind of like the law of attraction there is even in business and in life, if I focus on the fact that I need more clients or customers, I'm not exactly going to get that. So I'm going to focus on being grateful for what I do have. And that really does play out in the rest of your life. So tell me a little bit about the gluten-free side of things, because that was something for me too that I explored to see how my body reacts. And it reacts much differently. And, I'm sure we're going to upset a couple people here who love their pizza and who love their sandwiches, but there are ways around that. So maybe let us know, what is it about gluten that can make a problem for people, and how can we get around it so that we can still have our cake and eat it too?
Yeah, so in a lot of people, gluten causes inflammation. It can lead to a leaky gut and start manifesting in a lot of different ways, really, whether that's being bloated after a meal or acne or stomach aches or just being really tired. So there's a lot of different ways that you can feel the reactions of it. But really, the only way to know if you are reacting is to take it, out of the diet and then see how you feel.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I did about 4 years ago, and realized that gluten was making me pretty sick. And I didn't notice it at the time. For me, it was mainly an immune thing. My immune system was really weak. And as soon as I took gluten out of my diet, noticed a big difference in my immune system. I used to get sick, 3 or 4 times a year, just cold. So I thought that was normal. Didn't think much of it. But as soon as I took that out, I haven't been sick in 4 years. So
That's pretty solid. I mean, I think I probably
crazy.
get sick maybe once a year at most. So I know that I've definitely seen a very similar reaction.
Yeah.
And I also, gluten for some reason would always mess with my stomach.
Yeah, I used to get that too. Well, and I still do. So in a restaurant, I can tell that they've served gluten to me because my stomach, by the end of the meal, sometimes there's people that say, well, gluten sensitivity doesn't exist because I don't think that I'm celiac. But there's sort of a spectrum. And I was like, well, I'm pretty sure there's something that happens because as soon as I eat gluten, by the end of the day, I look like I'm pregnant, and that's not normal. So when your stomach blows up to that size.
Yeah, so it's like you can call it what you want. I'm calling
Yeah.
it not normal.
Calling it, I'm just not going to eat that. My body
Right.
doesn't like it.
Right. Very cool. So, and oh, real quick, how can we like substitute? What can we do? Because, if you're telling me
Yeah.
I've got to get rid of my pizza, I've got to get rid of my things that have breaded coating on it, like
Yeah.
chicken tenders or anything like that. What can I do to get around that?
There's a lot of different things. They do have gluten-free pizza crust, although a lot of the recipes and meals that I make, I like to just do things like chicken with vegetables or baked sweet potato fries and like things like that. So it's not this weird, reincarnation of like something that used to contain gluten. But like, and chicken tenders, I'll do nut crusts. I actually prefer nut crusts because they've got more of a crunch than, like a breading does. So I think nut crusts are really nice. And, there's almond flours, coconut flours. And so, if you want to do baking, it's just, and the thing that I actually kind of like about it is there's gluten-free baked goods out there, but you're not bombarded with it. I feel like with other baked goods, it's like every day there's an opportunity to have a cookie or a cupcake. And those things are fine, but I don't need one every day, once a week, maybe a few times a month, something. But there are ways to still have your brownies and pizzas and breads, and a lot of restaurants have gluten-free breads, so that's nice if you want to have a sandwich every now and then. Now, if you're paleo, some of that stuff isn't paleo.
Right, right.
So
Well, I think it goes without saying that it's kind of it's a careful balance, It's
yes,
not,
exactly.
hey, you've got to follow this no matter what to a T. It's more of, figure out what works best for you, find out the changes that happen in your body, and,
Yep.
if you want more of the good changes, then keep going with it.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's kind of comes back to what I said in the beginning with what I like about paleo. It's, listening to your body and seeing what your body tolerates and how you feel after you eat foods and making your decisions based on that.
Yeah. So
Um,
I always love like taking a step back with the entrepreneurs that I talk to and finding out how they started their businesses, how they got into it, because while my big promise to myself for the podcast was I'm going to live my best year yet. And so every person that I've interviewed, whether they're a business owner or not, we talk about the changes that they're making in the world, what they wanted to do, and how they discovered their calling in a sense and where they wanted to go with that. So I'm just curious to
Okay.
hear maybe if we like step it back in time a little bit, like where were you
Yeah.
before Prep Dish and how did that idea come about?
Wow. So I'm gonna have to go back kind of far, but in terms of being an entrepreneur, when I was little, I kind of always had that in me, like selling friendship bracelets when I was like 6, or just always kind of doing things like that, and trying to sell my dad cookies to take to his board meetings, and basically had like this catering business in high school, and then my home ec teacher got me a job cooking for a business in high school, just a local. There were about 10 guys. And during the summers, I would cook lunch for them every day. So I'd show up at their house and cook lunch for them every day and loved it. So I was basically a private chef. And that inspired me to go to culinary school, and I got a master's in nutrition. Wasn't sure what I was going to do with that. Kind of ended up with this real world desk job, but I missed cooking and knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So I decided to move to Austin and started a personal chef company. Well, that personal chef company was very similar to what I was doing in high school. I just had a little more credibility than I did when I started in high school. So the idea for the personal chef company really started in high school because I fell in love with doing that. I just enjoyed doing it and always enjoyed working for myself. And now the meal plans, the way I got those ideas from the personal chef company. So with the personal chef company, I still have that still exists. I have another chef that does the cooking. So I run that, but I don't do the cooking anymore. I did for the first about 5 years. And with that, the way the service works is we will visit homes once a week and prep all the food for the week. As I was doing that and maxing out at like 5 to 7 clients, I realized there was a way that I could, reach much more people, because it's like I'm only reaching 5 or 7 people. How can I get this out to the masses? And that's where the idea of Prep Dish came about. It's like, here's this guide. It's a grocery list, instructions for prepping everything ahead of time. I can give this to anyone. And so that's where the idea of Prep Dish was born, was like, oh, I can use this system that I created for my personal chef clients and get it out to the masses.
So a lot of it is kind of taking an existing idea and just kind of building on top of that, and how can we make this better, how can we improve it, and finding your target audience that could really use that. I mean, for me, I'm constantly looking for recipes. I mean, I cook usually once a week. Like Sunday night is kind of my big cooking night.
Yep, that's what we recommend.
Yeah, and I cook all my food for the rest of the week, and it's usually a 2 or 3 hour ordeal. If I'll run out to the store, I'll have a list of exactly what I want to get. I'll be back in half an hour, and I cook most of my stuff. Sometimes I'll do some really nice, like I just slow cooked a 5-pound pork shoulder for 20 hours in the crock pot.
Nice.
So like that takes overnight, but it comes out really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's I think that it's a really great opportunity for people to not really give excuses anymore for eating healthy,
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly, that's what I say. It's going to take some time. Like, if you're going to eat real food, you're going to have to invest something. But 2 to 3 hours on Sunday is actually less time than you would spend if you're scrambling every night at 5 o'clock. Because if you're scrambling every night, like, that can take a lot of time.
That and like balancing it out with, if you didn't cook and then through the week you're trying to figure out stuff, and you go out for lunch 3 or 4 days out of the week, and you save your leftovers for dinner or for breakfast the next morning, and it's like, all right, you've already spent 2 or 3 times as much as you would have in the store, and you also haven't eaten nearly as well as you would have if it was all prepared.
And as an entrepreneur, I always say it's brain power, right? Like, you only have so much energy that you can put into thinking about things. And that's actually what our customers say a lot too. It's like, I don't have to think anymore, because, here's a grocery list. I tell them what to do. They get home and dinner's ready because they've already prepped it on Sunday. And the fact that you don't have to think at 5 o'clock, like, that's the saving grace right there, because at 5 o'clock, your brain's kind of like done.
Yeah, absolutely. I have to share a funny story with you, because I almost went to culinary school. And for the dumbest reason, I didn't, and went to film school instead. I, was very interested in cooking in high school. My mom would always work late hours, so, she would buy whatever food I asked her for, and I would cook it and have dinner ready for her by the time she got home. And so I always loved cooking, and we started to look at the Culinary Institute of America, which is based right down here in Baltimore. And, we went for a tour, and it was great. I mean, you show up and they let you eat everything under the sun that they cook first. So they get you super stuffed on food, pastries, whatever it is you can find. And then they take you on the tour. So I was like thinking, all right, this is a pretty sweet deal. Like, I get to eat all this food all the time. And then we walk into one of the classrooms just to watch, a demo cooking class or something. And they've all got on the white hats and the white coats and everything.
Oh, yeah, I had to wear all that.
And my first question to the guy leading the tour was, are we required to wear those hats and those white coats? And he said yes to every single class. And I turned to my mom and I said, we can leave.
Oh, man.
I didn't want a uniform. And it was the silliest reason, but now I still love cooking. I do it all the time. Every week I'm always trying something new and different. But that is the reason why instead of going to culinary school, I went to film school.
I did have to wear the uniform all day, every day.
Yeah, and now you don't have to.
I loved it, but well, and with the personal chef company, when I cook for clients, I feel very strongly about having a professional look, so I stuck with it. I didn't wear the kind of crazy chef pants. I wore like more of a basic black yoga pant, but I don't miss those outfits.
So tell me a little bit about, did you ever have any obstacles in making this a reality or getting this off the ground? Because, a lot of people, when they first start their business, they don't even know how to run a business. They know nothing about what's involved. So maybe were there any struggles that you had in the process of getting it up and running?
Yes, that's a short answer. So for me, luckily, this was, I had experience running a business, although this was online. The business before, personal chef company, didn't really require overhead, was pretty straightforward. I showed up at people's houses, cooked for them, they paid me. It was a little more straightforward. The online part, it's been a big learning curve, figuring out how to run people's credit cards, how to build the site. And, I've had a lot of help along the way too. I had a designer that designed the plans and a web guy that helped build the site. And so it's figuring out where you can do things yourself and where you need to find someone else. But yeah, just the whole, every day is a learning curve. There's still things that I'm like, oh, and then I have to, go back and research it and figure it out. So, but that's the fun of it, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. That was something where when I first started, it was like, all right, I am a business owner now. What do I do? All right, well, I need some legal stuff, I think, because I don't want to get in trouble that way.
Yeah, that's a good
start. So I started there and figured out the whole accounting thing. And then it came down to how do you find clients? Because, that for some people, it's easy. For certain types of products, the clients just kind of show up because it's something that the world really needs. And for other things, it's tough because you have to market and you have to be the face of the brand. So how has that worked out for you? What have you done marketing wise to bring people in and just to get the word out?
Yeah, I have done a lot of things. It's kind of doing a lot and then tracking everything, knowing your numbers, and then figuring out what's working. And I work with a coach, so that's been really helpful. I have a coach that helps sort of with the marketing and finding clients part of the business, because that's obviously the most important part. You don't have a business until you have subscribers or customers. But yeah, so it's getting the word out any way I can, but also tracking every single thing I do. So I have numbers to show what works instead of just, doing a bunch of things and being like, oh, it felt like that thing worked, but really having numbers. And that's, I think, the most important thing is knowing my numbers and tracking everything. So at the end of the day, you know where to continue to invest your money and where you can pull back.
Right. Very nice. And that's exactly what I've been doing too, is I've sent out mailings, I've done newsletters, I've tried, podcasting, and tons of things. For me, it's been referrals has been a huge deal. The people that really like what you do kind of become a cheerleader and talk about it to everybody. If I were given a really good recipe from you, I would probably start to tell people because, I love good food, and food is kind of like a food group of my life in a sense. Like food is a very big part of it.
And so we definitely get that. The subscribers, once they catch on, they're shouting it from the rooftops. And I even have some friends, they're really cute, and here in Austin that use it, and they'll get on and they're always promoting it, and they're like, do you know how many people we talk about it all the time? I'm like, that's awesome. So it's really fun to see. You don't ask for it, it just kind of happens. So.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that would be a good thing to put on Instagram, so many people taking pictures of their meals and
they like to take pictures of their meals. Yeah, that's good. I always like to see those, and it's good for me too. That helps me feel good about what I'm doing. So
yeah, absolutely.
Keeps me going.
It's solid feedback. So what has starting this business done for you just, in the rest of your life? Have you been able to travel more? Have you, really opened up and seen a lot more freedom in what you can do with your day?
For sure, because back when I was doing the personal chef company and cooking every day, I felt like I had freedom and flexibility because I did, I was kind of in control of when I started and where I went and all this. But at the end of the day, I had to be here to cook in person for people every week. And now that I have another person that does the on-site part of that, I can work from anywhere. And so that's been really nice. I recently got married and we did a honeymoon and did a pretty long honeymoon. So that was nice to be able to take a break, and he's also an entrepreneur. And I feel like we've both been working for quite a few years, and we finally decided we needed a little bit of a break. And so that was nice to be able to take that. And we can really travel, and I can, work from anywhere. I say sometimes I'll work all day Saturday, but that's because I decide I want a Thursday afternoon off. And so it's nice to have that flexibility. Yeah.
Very nice. And that's something too that I've found has been extremely helpful. I planned, I think next week, just on Friday, going up to Philadelphia for the day to work out of a coffee shop just because, it's only about an hour and a half drive and it's just a change of scenery from my bedroom, so it's, you definitely gain a lot of freedom in doing that. And on top of that, if it's something that you really love doing, then that's huge.
Yeah, I like being to really tap into those times when I know that I can focus more. It's like, okay, it's 3 o'clock, my brain's not working. I'm going to take a break and go for a walk. But then when I do get those times of energy and focus, I can really tap into that. So it's nice to be able to be in control of that.
Yeah. And I was going to ask you, I'm sure the food has a huge impact on that. You don't feel sluggish throughout the day. You can kind of pop out of bed, have a great breakfast and start the day off right now.
Yeah, no, I agree. So
very cool. Well, so you have this 1 week gluten-free meal plan.
Yes.
What types of meals or dishes could we expect if we go in and check that out?
So it's, the food I eat at home, the food I've been cooking for clients, it's, things like lettuce turkey wraps. Those are really popular. I have lasagna on the menu this week. People really love the lasagna. It changes every week. So every week it's a new plan.
Cool.
Yeah. So every week it's a new plan. There's, usually a seafood dish, although I always give a substitution idea for the seafood because some people don't do that. There's like a salmon and, in the winters, I'll do things like chilies and stews, and in the summer I'll have some salads and burgers and some grilling items. That's more summer stuff. And right now we're getting some more like pears and, some of the fall stuff's getting ready to come in. And we're just coming off of peach season. I really like peach season. There was like a peach cobbler a few weeks ago that was really good.
Nice. So, I just had actually like a huge bag of white peaches in the fridge, and they're so good. And it's just like something about this time of year where it starts to get a little bit cooler outside, and people are pumpkin picking and stuff like that.
We're coming into all the squashes. So good.
So that's gonna be really cool. I think I made a lasagna with I think I substituted squash as like the layers of the lasagna.
So I usually do zucchini, like thinly sliced zucchini, or thinly sliced eggplant works really well too.
Ooh,
so I'll do that instead of the like noodles.
Yeah, so everyone's sitting here thinking like, how did she make a peach pie? Like, how do you make that without gluten? There's really cool ways around that that actually taste just as good, if not better. So not to like totally try to jump on the gluten-free train, but seriously guys, there are some amazing recipes to try out here.
Yeah, no, the peach cobbler, I took that to a dinner party a week ago, and like no one knows, no one cares. Like it's and actually I do almonds and dates and butter in a food. You can also do coconut oil, because I know we always have the option for dairy free, because I know some people can't tolerate dairy. So you can do coconut oil or butter. The butter is really tasty. But you do that all in the food processor, and the dates actually sweeten it. And it sounds kind of strange, like you said, but when you try it, like no one ever knows, and everyone loves it. So.
Yeah, and I feel like half the time they probably don't even notice that it's missing a couple ingredients.
Yeah, if you don't like shout that it's gluten-free, no one really notices.
So speaking of coconut oil, because that's a huge thing for me, I actually used to be, an all olive oil type guy, and now a lot of the times I'll use coconut oil instead. Have you ever tried bulletproof coffee?
So I don't drink coffee.
Okay.
My husband does, and he'll make it here. We also have picnic here, so we can go there. But he makes bulletproof, and he's played around with making me bulletproof tea because I do drink tea. Coffee just makes me, I don't know, my body doesn't love it. It's like too much caffeine for me. But he does do the bulletproof coffee.
Bulletproof tea.
And I've had a few tastes. It tastes good.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The tea works. It's not like, oh my God, this is so good like the coffee is. I've had a few tastes. It tastes pretty good.
I think it's probably because coffee is more bitter. So when you add, and for everyone listening in, essentially it's a cup of coffee, a tablespoon of grass-fed butter, a tablespoon of coconut oil blended up. I think it's probably because the coffee is usually much more bitter and tea tends to be on the sweeter or fruitier side. And so to add something so salty into that, I don't know if that would mix as well. The coconut oil definitely would add some sort of a sweet taste to it, but I feel like you'd have to find some sort of a substitute for like sugar or the sweetener that would.
You'd want to add like honey or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. He adds cocoa powder or cacao powder to his too, and some cinnamon. So it's like really tasty. I don't know if that's like part of the recipe, but that's what he adds.
I feel like that could be like a whole website in itself of like teaching people custom-made paleo coffee recipes.
I'll leave that to him.
Well, this has been great chatting with you, and I'm a huge fan of both paleo and gluten-free. I'll be the first to say that every now and then I do have my cheat meals because I do love cookies, but you can make really good gluten-free cookies. So for everyone listening, just to shout it out there that you should totally try this out. So what's the website where people can get this free 1-week meal plan? Is it just prepdish.com?
Yeah, we've set up a special page too. It's prepdish.com / actually used your first name, Zephan.
Okay, cool.
Zephan. That's what we used. So,
cool. Awesome.
But if they go there, they can get the free trial week. So
very cool. So everybody go ahead and check that out. And Allison, what's the best way for everyone to just keep track of you? Are you active on social media? Is there anything cool that we should look out for in the near future?
Yeah, I'm on social media. I'm on Instagram at PrepDish, Twitter, Facebook, all of the social media sites. And I do post, food pictures on Instagram and all that. Trying to think things coming up. I don't know. We're right in the middle of like back to school stuff. So we're doing a lot of fun back to school handouts. So right now we're doing a school lunch meal. Sometimes we'll give that out to like newsletter subscribers. And we have a crock pot one. So we have one crock pot one that's already done, and I'm working on doing another crock pot handout. People seem to love those.
Very nice.
Those are just little freebies that I give out. So
crock pots are super easy. I love that you literally just take all the ingredients and you just chuck it in there, you turn it on, and you don't touch it for, however long.
Yeah. Well, and I do ones where you prep them ahead and stick it in the freezer. So then you have like 5 crock pot meals that are just in the freezer, and you just pull them out and plop them in.
And I forgot to mention to you, one of my first jobs I ever worked was a place called Let's Dish. And what they did was they do similar. They have this pre-prepared, almost like a salad bar with like the measuring scoops. And you would take giant freezer bags and scoop out, however much you needed of each item. And you would make these meals that could feed a family. And so that was one of my first jobs.
Okay, yeah. Well, that taught you the process or the importance of planning ahead and prepping ahead, I guess. So.
Oh yeah, and I mean, one of the benefits of working there was you could, we would cook meals for ourselves while we were on the clock.
Nice. Yeah.
So we can mix and match. So if there was like one thing for a certain type of pizza, but we could steal like chicken from this other recipe, and so that's where I kind of learned to mix and match and try new stuff.
Nice.
Very cool. Well, everyone check out prepdish.com. Allison, it's been great talking to you today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
This episode of The Year of Purpose is brought to you by our brand new book, Life Rescripted. Find your purpose and design your dream life before the curtains close. If you want to be the first in line to receive a free digital copy from me, all you have to do is head on over to www.liferescriptedbook.com to find out more. I've discovered what I think is the world's most effective process to design your path in life. It'd be a shame if I didn't share it. In Life Rescripted, you will discover the #1 strategy for determining your life purpose and how you can start a new path today. the 5X life hack rule for accomplishing your dreams and designing your life on your own terms 5 times faster, the ultimate solution for fear and how you can leverage it right now to make this year your best year yet, and so much more. Reserve your spot in line to get a free copy at www.liferescriptedbook.com, and I will see you in the next episode.